Have you ever felt that no matter how hard you try, you never truly belong anywhere? As if there were something different about you, something no one else seems to notice? You look around and see people going through life as if everything makes sense to them, yet inside you, there is an emptiness, a feeling that you are walking a path that was never meant for anyone else. Maybe you've asked yourself, why does the journey of a chosen one always feel lonely? Why do I feel that no one truly understands me, even when I'm surrounded by people? Why do my conversations feel shallow? Why, when I try to express what I feel, am I misunderstood or simply ignored? Now, stop for a moment and think. What if everything you believe about your solitude is wrong? What if what you see as a problem is actually your greatest blessing? What if this feeling that has followed you for years is in fact a calling? And what if I told you that this loneliness is not a punishment, but a sign that you are a chosen one? That ignoring this call could lead you down the wrong path? Have you noticed that every time you try to ignore this feeling, something goes wrong? That the more you try to fit in, the more lost you feel? This is not a coincidence. What you are about to discover could completely change the way you see your journey. A truth no one ever told you, because very few are truly ready to hear it. If this message resonates with you, write in the comments right now, "I have felt this before," because this may be the first step toward your transformation. Now, pay close attention, because what I am about to reveal may be the missing piece you need to finally understand who you really are. From an early age, the chosen woman senses that there is something different about her. While other children play without questioning much, she feels everything intensely. Small details that go unnoticed by others seem enormous to her. Her senses are sharper, her intuition is strong, and her perception goes beyond the obvious. She knows when someone is lying, even without evidence. She can feel the weight of an environment, even when everyone else seems fine. She picks up on unspoken emotions, hidden secrets, truths that no one dares to admit. While others accept what they are taught without question, she has always felt a deep restlessness inside, a need to understand more, to see beyond what is shown. At first, she believes this is a gift, but soon she realizes that being different comes with a price. Every time she tries to express what she feels, she is met with confusion. As a child, they told her she overthought things. At school, maybe she was called weird or too sensitive. At home, she heard phrases like, "You need to stop exaggerating," or "Don't take everything so seriously." She learns that to be accepted, she must hide this part of herself. She must talk less, feel less, be less. And so she begins to suppress who she truly is. But loneliness is not just about being distanced from people. It is also about the absence of true connection. She may be surrounded by friends, family, colleagues, yet deep inside, she feels that no one really sees her. Conversations feel empty, meaningless. While everyone else seems satisfied with small talk, she craves something deeper. But every time she tries to go beyond the surface, it feels like no one wants to follow her there. She watches how others seem to fit in effortlessly, how they build connections without struggle, as if they've never questioned their place in the world. Meanwhile, inside her, there is a constant conflict. On one hand, the need to belong. On the other, the feeling that she was born for something greater. But no one ever explained to her what is truly happening. How many times have you tried to be like everyone else, only to feel an even greater emptiness? To realize that no matter how hard you try, you will never be like them? The chosen woman feels this void in every area of her life. In love, she enters relationships that do not fulfill her because no one truly understands her. At work, she feels surrounded by people who simply follow orders, while deep inside, she longs to do something meaningful. In friendships, she finds herself always being the listener, the one who understands others, yet never truly understood in return. And then comes the breaking point. She realizes that no matter how hard she tries to fit in, there will always be a part of her that cannot be shaped to fit the mold. She tries to follow the common path. She does what she's told is right. She forces herself to be more carefree, more lighthearted, less deep. But something always goes wrong. Every time she ignores her intuition, her life seems to fall apart. When she tries to be like everyone else, something inside her rebels, as if she is being pushed away from a path she was never meant to walk. But there is something you need to know, because ignoring this truth could mean you never discover your real purpose. The chosen one feels, deep in her soul, that she is being tested. While most people walk through life effortlessly, her journey is filled with challenges. Perhaps you have asked yourself why life seems to always be testing you. Why the disappointments, the struggles, the cycles of pain keep repeating, but now everything will make sense. Because the truth is, most people could never endure this journey, and that is why so few are chosen. And there is something no one ever told you. This loneliness was never a mistake. It was always a sign. Have you noticed that every time you try to ignore your solitude, something happens that forces you to return to yourself? The chosen one feels that the world tries to mold her, to make her follow a path that was never meant for her. But no matter how hard she tries, something always pushes her back toward her essence. The question is not, why is my journey so difficult? The real question is, why was I called to walk a path that so few can endure? Because the truth is, the chosen woman was not sent into this world to follow the path of the majority. Her journey is different. But why? And what if I told you that this loneliness has a greater purpose? That the reason behind it will completely change the way you see your journey? If you have ever felt this emptiness, this feeling that no one truly understands you, perhaps it is because your path is not meant for just anyone. And now, you are about to understand exactly why. Society made you believe that in order to be happy, you need to be accepted. Since childhood, you were taught that the right path is the one everyone follows, that to be normal is to be accepted, that fitting in is the goal, that being part of a group, a family, or a system is what brings security and fulfillment. But this is the greatest lie you were ever told, because deep down, you always knew something was wrong with it. You tried to follow the common path, to mold yourself into what was expected of you. But something inside you never quite fit. While everyone around you seemed satisfied just existing, you felt the need for something more, something greater, something beyond the superficial. And then came the frustration, because instead of being recognized for your unique vision, you were pushed away, labeled, judged. You felt out of place within your own family, in your relationships, in your social circle. Maybe you tried to hide this part of yourself, to tone down your intensity, to suppress your questions. But it never worked, because every time you tried to be like the others, something inside you started to scream. Life began to fall apart. You were forced to return to your essence, even when it meant walking alone. And then one day you looked around and realized everything that made sense to others felt empty to you. You wondered what it would be like to simply go with the flow, to fit in without questioning, to not feel so much. But even if you tried, life wouldn't allow it. Take a deep breath. Now look back. Everything that was taken from your life, was it ever truly meant to be there? And now, you need to hear this with all of your attention. Your solitude was never a punishment. It was always a calling. Think for a moment. What if you weren't being rejected, but separated? What if life was removing from your path everything that does not belong to your true destiny? How many times have you tried to belong only to be pushed away? How many times have you clung to people, situations, and places only to watch them disappear from your life? That wasn't coincidence. That was protection, and it hurts. It hurts to feel that everything seems harder for you, that the doors that open so easily for others always seem closed to you, that the people who were supposed to stand by your side always end up leaving. But there is something almost no one realizes, and it could completely change the way you see your journey. Have you noticed that everything that was taken from your life, deep down, was never truly yours? People who abandoned you, friendships that faded, relationships that didn't move forward, none of them were ready to walk beside you. Life never deprived you of anything essential. On the contrary, it removed everything that would have held back your growth. If it were easy, everyone would be on this path. But look around. How many people are truly capable of enduring this transformation? Most people take the easier road. They live on autopilot. They don't question. They don't challenge anything. They simply accept. But you don't. You were not made to fit in. You are made to lead. And that is why life never allowed you to blend in with just anyone. Have you noticed how there always seems to be something preventing you from conforming? How every time you try to be like others, something happens that pulls you off that path? That is not a coincidence. You were not left behind. You were spared. Because ordinary people do not change the world. Ordinary people do not open new paths. And the truth no one ever told you is that the loneliness of the chosen one is proof that she is being prepared for something greater. Life forced you to learn to find strength within yourself. When no one understood you, you learned to trust your own intuition. When no one supported you, you learned to rise on your own. When no one saw your vision, you realized that your mission was bigger than any explanation. Now, I will show you why this loneliness is the greatest gift you have ever received. Because the solitude of the chosen one does not isolate her, it protects her. Solitude forced you to look within, to discover who you truly are, to trust yourself when there was no one there to validate your path. And this is the greatest strength of a chosen one. While others need external acceptance to feel secure, you are learning to find your power within. Because your mission is not ordinary. Your journey will not be like everyone else's. Very few can endure this path. But if you have come this far, perhaps it is because you were born for something different. Now you must decide. Will you keep resisting the truth, or finally accept who you have always been? If this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "I accept my journey," because this could be the first step toward the transformation you've been waiting for your entire life. And what I am about to reveal next could change everything you believe about your destiny. The chosen woman sees truths others cannot see. Since childhood, she has felt that something greater is at play. She senses when a situation isn't right, when a person cannot be trusted, when an environment carries heavy energy. She feels everything before it even happens. And that is terrifying. The unknown is always frightening. Most people prefer what is predictable, what has already been tested and approved by the majority. They live by following the flow, never questioning, because it is comfortable. But the chosen one? She does not have that privilege. She cannot ignore what she sees. And that is exactly why people pull away. Because deep down they know you see what they try to hide. You sense the lies, the hidden agendas, the truth they don't even admit to themselves. And without realizing it, your presence unsettles them. They call you intense, difficult, overdramatic. But the truth is, they fear what you represent. Your loneliness is not a mistake. It is not a punishment. It is training. You are being prepared for something greater. And before you fulfill your mission, you must be strengthened. Think about it. If, from an early age, you had been accepted, understood, and embraced, would you have become the person you are today? Or would you have molded yourself into what others expected of you? If you had fit in perfectly, would you have developed this inner strength? Would you have learned to trust your intuition? Even when no one else could see what you saw, loneliness did not weaken you. It shaped you. It forced you to find your own light without relying on validation from others. It taught you to walk with confidence, even when the world doubted you. And this is what no one ever told you. Your solitude was proof that you were being prepared for something much greater. But there is one detail almost no one notices, something that could completely change the way you see your solitude. Have you realized that everything that was removed from your life was never truly yours? The people who left, the friendships that faded, the relationships that didn't move forward, none of them were ready to walk beside you. Life never deprived you of anything essential. On the contrary, it removed everything that would have hindered your growth. The chosen one does not walk the same path as the majority. The challenges you face are greater. The losses are more painful. The struggles seem never-ending. But all of this has a purpose. Every person who left your life, every obstacle that made you doubt yourself, every silence that wounded you, it was all part of a greater plan. Most people give up. Most people surrender. How many have you seen simply settle, accept less than they deserve, lose themselves along the way? But not you. You endured. You kept going. Even when everything seemed to be against you, something inside you told you to continue. This is not normal. This does not happen to everyone. It happens because you were born with a purpose that has not yet been fully revealed. And now you need to understand something essential. Your calling is not ordinary. Life is preparing you for a role that few can fulfill. And every pain, every loss, every moment of solitude was part of that process. Your loneliness was never punishing you. It was shaping you. Because before you can lead others, you must learn to walk alone. Before you can teach, you must understand. Before you can fulfill your mission, you must be strengthened. Now, take a deep breath. Look back. Everything has made sense up to this point, but there is still one missing piece. What if everything you have been through, was just a test for something much greater? What if there is something you haven't yet realized, something that could completely change the way you see your own life? Very few people make it to this moment, but if you are still here, perhaps it is because your soul already knows the truth. What you are about to discover could change everything you believe about yourself. You have made it this far, but now comes the hardest part. Because knowing the truth is not enough. It is not enough to understand that your solitude was preparation. It is not enough to recognize the signs. It is not enough to see that you are different. The real question is, what are you going to do with this truth? Faced with this reality, the chosen woman has only two options: conform to the world and live a lie, or accept her mission. This is the defining moment, the moment that separates those who follow their calling from those who give up. And this choice is harder than it seems, because accepting this mission means letting go of what is easy. It means saying goodbye to the illusions that kept you comfortable. It means facing reality without filters. It means choosing a path where, at times, you will walk alone. And that is terrifying. That is why so many chosen ones turn away. They feel the calling, they see the signs, but they choose to ignore them. They choose to fit in. They choose to stay silent. They choose to suppress what they feel, to bury their intuition, to pretend they are like everyone else. But what happens to those who resist their own destiny? The emptiness grows. The soul screams. Life begins to collapse. Because a chosen one cannot live a lie. She can try. She can spend years pretending to be something she is not. She can force herself to follow the path others expect of her. She can convince herself that maybe she was wrong, that maybe she imagined it all. But life will not allow it. Have you noticed this? Have you realized that every time you try to fit in, something happens to pull you away? Have you felt that no matter how hard you try to follow a common path, it never works for you? Have you noticed that every time you ignore your intuition, everything falls apart? This is not a coincidence. This is a warning. Life is showing you, in the clearest way possible, that your destiny was never to be like the others. And then, the signs intensify. The losses pile up. The body feels it. The mind suffers. The doors that were once open begin to close. People start treating you differently, as if you no longer belong. You feel like you are always in the wrong place, at the wrong time, and suddenly nothing makes sense anymore. The more a chosen one resists, the more life tightens its grip. Because when you don't listen to your soul, the universe screams, and it screams through pain, challenges, and situations that force you to look within. Have you felt this? Have you noticed that every time you try to run from your truth, something happens to bring you back? This is not punishment. This is your final warning. Because some chosen ones wake up in time, but others become lost. They disconnect so deeply from their true essence that they become trapped in a life that was never meant for them. They carry a void that nothing can fill. They feel suffocated, stuck, directionless. They spend years searching for an answer without realizing that the answer was always inside them. And then the signs stop. Life goes silent. But it is not a silence of peace. It is the silence of someone who has lost their connection to what truly matters. What was once just discomfort becomes a permanent pain. And that is the worst thing that can happen. When a chosen one ignores her mission for too long, she begins to lose herself. She no longer feels purpose in what she does. Everything seems meaningless. She drifts away from who she truly is, and before she even realizes it, she can no longer find her way back. And then comes the darkest moment, when the pain of resistance becomes greater than the fear of change. When life loses its color. When the weight of being someone she is not becomes unbearable. And at that moment, there is nowhere left to run. What happens to those who resist for too long? They become shadows of themselves. They get lost in fear, regret, and the feeling that there is no way out. They start living on autopilot, without passion, without energy, without any real desire to be here. They try to fill the emptiness with distractions, shallow relationships, external pursuits, but nothing ever works. And then comes a time when she no longer feels anything at all. The soul falls asleep, the dreams disappear. Time passes, but inside, everything remains frozen. And before she knows it, she no longer remembers who she is. This is the point of no return. Now, close your eyes for a moment. Take a deep breath. Feel what is happening inside you. Because the answer has always been there. And now, you are about to understand why. If you feel this restlessness inside you, if you feel that something is pulling you toward a path you cannot explain, if you feel that every time you try to deny who you are, life pushes you back, it's because time is running out. Your soul is calling you. But the question is, will you listen? Or will you keep resisting until nothing remains but regret? Now, the choice is in your hands. But before you decide, you need to understand something much greater. Something that could completely change everything you believe about your own destiny. And that is what comes next. You have been through all the stages, the pain, the loneliness, the resistance, the confusion. You have felt the weight of carrying something you could not explain, tried to fit in where you did not belong, fought against the truth that had always been inside you. But now, finally, the answer is revealed. The loneliness of the chosen woman is not a burden, it is the portal to her true destiny. Everything you have been through was not a punishment, not a mistake, not a curse. It was a process, a path that few have the courage to walk. And now you understand. The reason so many people walked away, the reason so many doors closed, the reason you could never follow a common path. It was because you were never meant to. The chosen one does not come into this world to follow what has already been established. She comes to break patterns, to open new paths, to bring light where darkness prevails. But before she can do that, she must first become strong enough to carry this mission. And that is why loneliness has always been by your side. It was never there to destroy you. It was there to prepare you. Because when you accept this, everything changes. What once felt like a burden now becomes a privilege. What once caused suffering now gives you strength. What once felt like emptiness now fills with meaning. And then something magical happens. The right doors open, the right people appear. Because now you are no longer trying to be someone you are not. You are no longer fighting against what was always meant to be yours. You finally understand that your journey has always had a purpose. And in that moment, you realize that you were never truly alone. Because all chosen ones at some point have gone through the same process. They have all felt the pain of separation, the weight of loneliness, the uncertainty of the unknown. But those who had the courage to move forward, to trust what they felt, to embrace their true identity, they are the ones who found their path.